basically in the video that you can't see because this is a different video, an audience member ran on stage from the side and attempted to tackle Chappelle to the ground. And Chappelle tussled with a man who ran behind the screen on stage and was surrounded by security. So it's a dead exciting video, but you can't see it. Instead, you can see this is the guy afterwards. You can see he got like beaten up and now his arm is on backwards.
I saw that earlier. It's like, you know, when you have a Lego figure and you swap the arms round on it? That's what he looks like.
Yeah.
Goodness
so
me.
that looks sore.
It's the world's most dislocated shoulder
So
right
it's good.
there.
It's good to see that, like, you know, if you attack a comedian on stage, it's not without some personal jeopardy.
How good's your security, Leo?
We've got man. I've done my own security. So like when I do the Edinburgh Fringe, I do the free fringe because you make more money. But there's no. It's not like you're in a pristine venue. There's no security and stuff. I mean, the venue's got security, but they're not in the room with you. And because it's like it's free to get in, it's like, well, you can sort of buy a ticket to guarantee a seat, but then you just to fill in the rest of the seats, you let people in for free, and then they donate afterwards. And like, so you get people coming along. I did a show a few years ago called "I Can Make You Tory," and that got people's backs up, you know, at the Fringe and in Scotland because obviously, you know, they're all for diversity and tolerance, but you know. They're not actually for diversity of opinion or tolerance of different opinions. But I did the show and like people would come along just to mess with the show. And these two guys came in and they're at the back of the show and they're like heckling and stuff. The thing is they were doing visual heckling, which is like the worst. They weren't shouting stuff out. They're just like they're messing around and like pulling faces. I can't really explain it, but it was right in my eye line of vision and it was doing my nutting. So I was like, you know, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, stop messing with it. And I got into then they refused to leave. And I was like, I'm gonna kick you out. And then I had to jump off the stage and go and bundle them out myself. But oh man, everybody thinks I'm mad when I say it was visual heckling instead of honestly, it was worse than like.
I wish I could have seen it. It
was man, it was horrific. There was a review of it. There was a reviewer in the audience of that specific show. But yeah, so
these guys weren't very visual though. They attacked him properly by the sound of it.
Yeah, the next clip, if we go into the next one. So this is you can see. Oh, I know what because I took the other one off because it was like a link to a newspaper article and video was in that. But this is this is after Dave Chappelle's been attacked and this is security
going to town on the guy
and just like stomping on him. So he's been detained. So basically Chris Rock and Jon Stewart were among the group of comedians performing alongside Dave Chappelle when the incident happened. Jamie Foxx, the actor and comedian, jumped on stage to help and make sure Dave was okay. And there was an eyewitness. If we move on to the next one, why are all the clips the next one should be Sharon Carpenter.
There we go.
There we go. Oh, this is this one. Carpenter told the PA news agency an attacker lunged at the comedian as he headlined the event, sending him flying in the air. She said it looked like someone was dashing across the stage from the side. He fell backwards on his back with his arms and legs up in the air. He was obviously in shock. We were all in shock. I thought for a moment, okay, is this a prank? Which is what people thought that when Will Smith was attacked.
Well, that happened to Tommy Cooper, didn't it?
Yeah, when he died.
He died on stage and people thought it was part of his act.
Yeah, literally collapsed, clutching his chest, and everybody's just pissing themselves laughing. And then the curtains come across, and I think his feet are sticking out the bottom. It's like, I mean, it was quite funny. But
poor man.
So, and also because they'd made jokes about, they'd referenced Will Smith. And Chris Rock was there. He was one of the performers. So they thought this was, some sort of prank referencing it. But LAPD were called to the incident around 10:45 p.m. and a man who was reportedly armed with a gun and a knife was taken into custody. Now that's reported in the Mirror, but I don't know if it's actually true. So if we move on to the next one, we can see. Have we skipped one? Oh yeah, that's the one that's on twice. Have we got one before that? No, we don't. Okay. So yeah, if we keep on going to that one, yeah. So oh yeah, by the way, Chappelle continued with his show afterwards, And he joked, he came back on, he said that was a trans man. It's quite a funny, because basically Chappelle's been getting stick for doing transphobic jokes.
He did a Netflix show which got some controversy, I recall.
Yeah. He's done a couple, that have, been exploring the issue, trans issues and stuff. He supported J.K. Rowling. He described himself as a
infamous transphobe.
Yeah. He's never actually said anything transphobic.
Well, that's how you tell she's a real trans.
Yeah, because she's so careful to hide it.
I know.
She's like one of those racists or Nazis that don't say anything racist or Nazi.
They're the worst.
But yeah, because Chappelle joked that it was a trans man, which it's a funny joke, and also he's just been attacked on stage by somebody with a knife and a gun. So the obviously the the real issue is that we've got to remember the real victims, which is the guy who attacked him. So all these people leave out the fact that Dave Chappelle joked that it was a trans man that ran on stage to beat him when we don't know who it was. All we know is that things are about to get worse in this country and have been getting worse for trans people, and Dave encourages it. Well, number one, Dave doesn't encourage it. Number two, I'd like to see any sort of information about trans people. I mean, they say attacks on trans people have gone up, but the number of trans people has gone up by 5,000%. So, literally there's a 5,000% increase.
Are you joking? Is that serious?
5,000% increase in children being referred for gender reassignment. And it's because they're sort of being shoveled into it.
It's a boom industry. Goodness
they're
me.
being shoveled into it. A lot of people are making a lot of money off it, and there's this mantra, this ideology in sort of left-wing academia, which is the only kind of academia, that transitioning is good, and it's become a fashion. It's become when I was at school, people had Tamagotchis or mullets or whatever, and this thing, everybody's like, oh yeah, I've got a Tamagotchi. Now it's like, oh yeah, I'm transitioning, and it's become now cisgender is used. I see it on Instagram, is used as a pejorative slur in the comedy community, and people make these statements being like, this person accused me of being cisgender. I'm not cisgender. I'm a genderqueer, non-binary. Blah 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 blah.
Sorry, where's the
My
joke?
pronouns are blah blah blah.
Where's
blah, blah,
the
blah.
joke?
No, that's not them joking. They're saying that's them just saying I've been accused of being cisgender,
How
and I'm
dare
not.
you.
And it's, what I mean? It's become, everything's flipped. So, before kids in school would be like, that's gay or whatever. And now they're saying, that's cisgender. It's nuts. So, other jokes that were made. Chris Rock came on stage, hugged Dave, grabbed the mic and said, Will, was that you? Referencing Will Smith punching Chris Rock. And Chappelle could be seen thanking his famous friends for helping out, saying, whenever you're in trouble, Jamie Foxx will show up in a sheriff's hat. Foxx responded saying, I thought that was part of the show. And Chappelle joked, I've been doing this for 35 years. I just stomped N-word backstage. I've always wanted to do that.
Jesus Christ.
I mean,
well, he knows how to get the laugh.
the sort of edge is taken off that a bit by the fact that the guy's arm is on the wrong way now.
Oh my goodness. Oh my God.
And there's more reactions. The next one shows somebody reacting. The next tab. So yeah, this is Paul Cox saying Dave Chappelle was attacked on stage last night. Mental. A comedian's biggest fear used to be silence.
Not being attacked by a man with a gun and a knife.
Yeah, someone called Tony Baker said some dude tackled Dave Chappelle on stage, and that dude got stomped out forthwith. They took his arm off and put it on backwards. That's what he get. This attacking people on stage ain't gonna fly, because there has been an increase in it. I think Will Smith, brought it to mainstream popularity, but there's been dozens of comedians being attacked on stage in the last sort of decade. Like Jim Jeffries, we've got some clips in a moment. Jim Jeffries was punched pretty nastily on stage at the Comedy Store. I mean, the other thing is, the flip side of it is, this can really launch a comedian to
a small
prominence.
Time, big controversy.
Jim Jeffries is huge now. And that was, one of the first things that sort of, launched him.
So do you reckon we're going to get false flag comedian attacks to boost popularity?
There's already been one. I should have put the link up.
Really?
There's, Dennis Krasnov at the Fringe staged an assault. It's kind of obvious it's not a real. It's not a real. Dennis is great, by the way.
Okay.
He's a nice guy.
So if you've got a good agent, they should stage the assault without your knowing, is what you're trying to say?
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
right.
Break your knees, Tonya Harding style. But yeah, and recently, Jeff Innocent was attacked. Russell Hicks was attacked. These are London-based comedians. James Loveridge was somebody threw a pint glass at him and it smashed on the wall behind him. So could have been serious. And always over misunderstandings. It's crazy.
Well, it's like a lot of this time, I think people get in their heads what I call crocodiles, which are things that the media have sort of trained them that when someone steps on that, you go after them like that, sort of gnashing teeth. And as soon as you step on one of these crocodiles, someone comes at you and they go extreme. Like, it's not normal behavior to throw a pint glass at a comedian because he said something that stepped on your triggers. So it's just very strange, very strange. I blame the media personally. People get worked up into viscerally hating people they've never met.
Yeah, although I don't think it's the media anymore. I think people are doing it themselves on social media.
Absolutely.
So I think the media has such a small impact now, and social media, just that mass sort of witch hunty feel of it. But also in leftism, because they feel righteous. There's no. There's no self-examination or self-criticism or humility or
life becomes a permanent crusade.
Yeah, and they've got this huge sword that they've been using, for decades to, for killing, bad dragons. Like, so the civil rights movement, it's like, wow, take that racism. Women's rights, take that. LGBT rights, take that. And now, well, most of those dragons have been slain, but they've still got this big sword, so they're going around looking...
Covered in blood.
Yeah, they're going around looking for something to attack with a sword. So they go after, Dave Chappelle makes a couple of jokes, they go after him. And Dave Chappelle is just raising questions. Comedians are just posing questions. I mean, I know it's a bit of a cliche to say that we're modern philosophers when we're not. We say we're modern philosophers, and then we get on stage and talk about our dicks. But there's, there's something to be said. He's posing questions that, and comedy's, one of the last bastions where these questions can be asked without somebody getting cancelled. We can say things that people can't say in other lines of work because they will get cancelled. And it's sad sometimes, like Steve Harvey, who presents Family Feuds and all that sort of stuff. He was saying, like, he was an amazing comedian, and he had to quit comedy because he knew he was going to offend someone, and then he'd get cancelled from his TV stuff. Yeah. So as soon as you step outside comedy, your comedy's vulnerable. Ice, yeah. Looking at the reason why Dave Chappelle was attacked, so there's protests over his Netflix show. So 100 Netflix employees walked out over his show because he said gender is a fact and LGBT people are too sensitive. I mean, that's not the most inflammatory things I've ever heard being said.
I mean, if that was school bullying, you would probably class it as tepid or possibly milquetoast.
You would in the 90s, but now you'd probably have to put the kids in a cage and burn them or something. But yeah, because everybody's so sensitive now. But yeah, there's a big walkout outside the Netflix Los Angeles offices. Demonstrators called on Netflix to fund more trans and non-binary talent. Man, every single transgender person is already a comedian, and there's no like I tried being trans. I changed my pronouns to she/her, trying to get some of this action, and it's not working. Which I think is apparently I'm not conforming to heteronormative patriarchal gender norms with my appearance. But yeah, man, there's loads of trans comedians. There's some good ones, and this idea that transgender people are a marginalized voice. Man, come on, like,
yeah,
they got quite a big voice, and there's loads of people speaking out against it. So Jamila Jamil thanked people for taking part in the demonstrations. Elliot Page, Lily Wachowski, so they're transgender celebrities, voiced their support. But yeah, there's a big backlash against the Dave Chappelle special, but also a lot of support for it as well. So yeah, and just to finish off, a look at some other attacks on stage. So this one is Jim Jeffries. So if we just play it, this is at the Manchester Comedy Store.
That's pushing it inwards. So when you hang on.
Took the audience a while.
Yeah, I don't even think that's security. That's the audience. But oh yeah, that's security, the guy in the black jacket. I've played the Manchester Comedy Store. It can be a bit rough. Oh man, I remember there was all these guys. As soon as I went out and it was apparent I was Scottish, all these guys started slagging me off and standing up and shouting at me and stuff. And I was just ripping into them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then they kept doing it, so security came and chucked them out. And everybody was like booing them and stuff. And then I left after my set to drive back to London. We can stop this now, that's the end of the fight. But I left after my set to drive back to London, and they're all just, the security hadn't chucked them out of the building, they're all in the foyer. I had to walk through, like, all these guys.
Oh my goodness.
I was just like, man, if they didn't like me when I was on stage, like, what are they going to do now? But it was fine. This is Luke Capasso offending a lesbian.
Old bananas, I'd be like, don't throw out them bananas, girl. I'll get some eggs and some milk and make some banana bread. Maybe we'll have some tea and eat that banana bread. You got a cat or a pet or anything?
I have a cat, yeah.
We can talk about your cat. We can talk about my plans for the garden. You know what I mean? Like we go to B&Q. I was gonna get some hostas and line the fence with it and shit like that. How about you put some cream cheese on that banana bread? That's how I feel about you.
Shit, man. Oh, man, does she have to do that? Wow.
What the fuck was that?
Wow.
That's what we call improv here.
And then
The old Coronation Street salute. Haven't seen that one in a while.
And then the next one, somebody pulls a gun at a gig, and Mike Tyson's in the audience. Now this is just another little open mic thing. But yeah, he's pulled a gun out. And then of course everybody's like, ooh. Everybody's hitting the deck. And Mike just sits there, totally implacable.
All right.
So I don't know what the outcome of that was. And then this next one is shows actual violence on stage.
National Geographic Animal Planet looking motherfucker like her. Why are you sitting with that ugly bitch? Do you have no self-esteem? Is that it? Ho. That's my wife. You keep talking. Fuck that ugly roach. DJ! I don't need no security. Come get it, nigga. Hold up. Be sure, nigga. Watch yourself. Look behind you, nigga. Back up off you, nigga. Bye. Good night. Look at me, cuz. Have a nice night, nigga. You go night. Sleepy time, nigga. I told you. Watch yourself, cuz. They'll beat you like you ain't never been beat. And fuck your wife. Hey, DJ.
I think we can cut that now, Mike.
Yeah, we can
DJ, turn that shit off.
But yeah, so those are kind of like, they're obviously open mic gigs. You know, most of those, apart from the Comedy Store.
If you have had a night like that, that looks pretty wild to me.
Yeah, not like, I mean, I've seen stuff. I've seen stuff kick off at open mic nights, but yeah, normally, I mean, the thing is with open mic nights, because people are trying out new material, that can offend people. Because people are new acts, they don't. And a lot of comedians come into comedy thinking they're going to be, I'm going to be so edgy. I'm going to say things that nobody else says, and it's like, well, you got to learn how to like do it before you can like be edgy about it.
Yeah.
So they come out and they're just like being
Bad
offensive.
comedians,
They're bad comedians, and they're also being offensive and stuff. But yeah, that is like I've seen some. There's a comedian, Darius Davies. I do a podcast with him, and he used to, man. When he started out, it was so funny. He's just like the most, and he's just the most antagonistic person. So he's been attacked a few times on stage. We don't have any of it on film, unfortunately. But yeah, so that's where we're at. Sorry, I didn't have the clip of the actual assault where the guy gets on stage at the Hollywood Bowl and like tackles Dave Chappelle. Because I deleted it off the document. Because that's the sort of maverick move I do. So, but
Don't know what you're going to get when Leo comes on. But
yeah, if you watch any news thing today, don't watch it in the next like 45 minutes. But if you watch any news thing today, you'll be able to see it.
If you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as the premium hangouts we do sometimes, this one between Carl and Harry, on trans regret. So that one's definitely premium. And if you want to follow what else Harry's putting out, you can follow him on Getter at Harry Lotus Eater on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.